A team that was one red zone conversion away from eliminating the eventual Super Bowl champions returns with legitimate title aspirations. But is Matthew Stafford's spine strong enough to hold that up? Good morning. I'm James, the faithful Angelino Sports, with a season preview of Rams football. And if you enjoyed talking about the Rams, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We talk about the team almost every day here. Why should we be so bullish on a roster that looks so disproportionate, so intentionally lopsided? It's because even though the scribes have problems with the way the Rams build a team, it's been based on a system that's worked, much to their chagrin. And that's what I want to address with you before we go into things such as Matthew Stafford's health, because that thing's been driven into the ground. See, throughout Les Snead's run as Rams general manager, he has had two unique methods to building a contending team. Now, the first formula did lead to a Super Bowl win with a name that's not so suitable for families: F them picks. But when the Rams stopped peddling away their draft picks for the dopamine hit of elite talent injections, Snead then rebuilt the team on what he and Sean McVay believed were the essentials of football. The essentials: protect your own quarterback while kicking the hell out of the other quarterback. You may want the immediate gratification of game breakers, instant touchdowns on offense. You may say nothing beats the thrill of forcing a turnover. But with the exception of one skilled player that was added on offense, the Rams did none of that. Zero. They stuck true to their beliefs. Protect Stafford, kick the hell out of whoever else is playing quarterback. It's worked. How do we know this, aside from the Super Bowl win? Because only the legendary Chuck Knox has won the NFC West as Rams head coach more than Sean McVay has. If McVay does it again this year, he actually catches Chuck Knox. This is a team that does in fact pose a legit threat to go to the Super Bowl, provided Stafford's 37-year-old back holds up. How important is Stafford? Well, he passed Eli Manning last year. He is now in the top 10 all-time passing. To repeat, I don't want to recap an entire offseason of pointless Stafford drama. We'd be here all day. But Stafford's health is what has led to some genuinely goofy forecasts about the Rams. ESPN posted their bold prediction for 2025 about the Rams. It was, "Don't be surprised if Jimmy Garoppolo has to start a game this year." Thanks for the insight, Nostradamus. Much obliged. What we know, though, is McVay and Snead made subtle moves that actually could make Stafford's life much easier. See, for years, the Rams ran their offense out of 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 3 wideouts. But the Rams drafted a tight end in the second round, Oregon's Terrence Ferguson. There is the distinct possibility that the Rams will go more with 2 tight end formations in order to give Stafford an extra blocker, whether it's Ferguson or Tyler Higbee. Moreover, running back Kyren Williams, who has rushed for more than 1,000 yards in each of the last 2 seasons, he originally became beloved by his Rams offensive linemen because he was an active participant in picking up blitzes. And by the way, keep in mind, when McVay first came to LA, he wanted to run 12 personnel. It was just that his roster dictated he changed it to 11. This is speculation. I do understand that. We don't know yet what the Rams are going to do because McVay doesn't play his starters during the preseason. We do know that McVay said versatility in the offensive scheme is a priority this year. So if the Rams go with 2 tight ends, it would undercut the need for a third wide receiver. So we switch to wide receiver because the Rams have 2 guys who can completely take over a game. Completely take it over. In Puka Nacua and Davante Adams. The third, well, we keep hearing about Tutu Atwell. We've been hearing about him for going on 5 years now, guys. So Adams, the newbie. He was painted as a malcontent for how he behaved last year, both in Las Vegas and with the Jets. But there are reasons to expect a revival. One, the Rams were an abomination in the red zone last year. They were 25th in the league in converting red zone opportunities into touchdowns. Adams caught 6 touchdown passes in red zone situations last year alone. 2, the other reason Adams matters, Nacua and the departed Cooper Kupp had the same skill set. They were a redundancy. Adams is going to stress opposing corners by running different routes than what you would have seen out of Kupp, what you would have seen out of Nacua. The Adams signing was so important to the Rams. When Adams was a free agent, McVay blew up his phone with video clips of how he was going to be utilized. The dude was on vacay at the time. That's how badly they wanted him. And by the way, you could even argue that the Rams had a pretty damn good offensive line last year. That could get a boost because they brought back Coleman Shelton to play center. See, Bo Limmer was pretty decent as a rookie, but what Shelton excelled at in LA his first time in with the Rams was calling out blocking assignments. Limmer didn't have that level of mastery. The middle of the Rams' offensive line is terrific. You have Kevin Dotson rebuilding his career. They love Steve Avila. But then you look at Shelton. Consider that fateful final drive in the Philadelphia snow. Jalen Carter made back-to-back game-saving plays for the Eagles. He single-handedly rescued them. There was a sack and a pressure on Stafford. So is it possible that Shelton could have made that adjustment to give Stafford just a fraction of a second more to get the pass off? So yeah, I'm extremely bullish on the Rams offense. It may not be a quick strike offense, but they're going to cause a lot of headaches for opposing coordinators. Moving over to defense, I admit going into last season, I was skeptical of what Chris Shula could do in his first season as defensive coordinator, because the guy always seemed like a permanent understudy, whether it was for Wade Phillips, Brandon Staley, Raheem Morris. I was wrong. I was totally wrong. The Rams led the NFL with 89 quarterback pressures last year. Another year like what he created in 2024, he is going to be considered as a potential head coach. Just like Brandon Staley was, just like Raheem Morris is. It is an unbalanced defense, though. And that's what drives the Scribes batty. They're like, oh my God, where's your shutdown corner? Rams don't have one. You're kidding me. You have undrafted players at linebacker. And the Rams are like, yeah. It's because the reason NFL rosters are always lacking in some area, the salary cap leads to never-ending roster churn. So what the Rams did is they just basically said, if we can't cover everything, we're going to make one thing totally elite. The Rams have a young and arguably one of the most frightening defensive lines in all of football. All the newbies kept getting to the opposing quarterback. According to Next Gen Stats, the Rams were one of 3 teams to have 4 guys finish with at least 40 pressures in 2024. And Jared Verse is just getting started. He pressured opposing quarterbacks 76 times last year. 76. It's a miracle that he only wound up with just 4.5 sacks. That's a number that's going to trend up. Now, I will admit it's fair to give 2 critiques about the defense. 1, the secondary is leaky. Fair. The Rams conceded 29 passing touchdowns last year, which was 28th in the league. But I would counter that. Go back to the playoff loss in Philadelphia. They held the Eagles receivers to a combined 35 receiving yards and no touchdowns. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith completely locked down. Second, the Rams were abysmal against the run, 26th in the league. I hear you. To win the West, they're going to have to contend with San Francisco's run game. To get revenge on Philly, they'd have to do anything against Saquon Barkley. Totally hear you. But then they go out and they swipe Poona Ford away from the Chargers. Ford solved the Chargers' run defensive problems all by himself. I mentioned changes to the Rams' offensive scheme that might happen. There is a question for what the Rams will be doing on defense. They run something that they like to call the cheetah defense. For those of you who've never heard of it, that's 5 defenders on the line of scrimmage, nickel in the defensive backfield, and that just leaves 1 linebacker. Last year, that linebacker was Michael Hoyt, who since left to sign with Buffalo. To play the cheetah, you're going to need a guy who can go sideline to sideline and also play pass coverage. So the Rams, if they have 2 linebackers normally to start, we don't know if Omar Speights or Nate Landman can do it. The cheetah role requires a lot. You might see that less often this year. So, having said everything we know about the offense and potential changes, everything we know about the defense and potential changes, what does this all mean? There are a number of scribes who really like San Francisco to rebound and win the NFC West. But then you read a little deeper as to why they think that's going to happen. And it's not, oh, the 49ers are so amazing. The Niners needed to change much of their roster to accommodate Brock Purdy's contract. Instead, it's all revolving around whether Matthew Stafford will be healthy for the entire year. That's it. You're assuming injuries that haven't happened. And that's a thing. Meanwhile, Seattle did win double-digit games last year, but they missed the playoffs anyway. And has anybody ever seen enough of Arizona to consider the Cards a threat? No? Me neither. So, in my arrogant little opinion, I think the Rams are the favorites to win the division. I do. I also think that means that they're definitely have a shot to go to the Super Bowl. They addressed the things that kept them from getting there last year. Now, can't guarantee it, but you should be pretty damn optimistic about this team. So if you enjoyed talking Rams football with me today, let me know what you think in the comments thread. And don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelinos. We talk Rams football almost every single day on this channel. Thank you for watching. I'm James. Faithful Angelinos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.